everybody. Just got a fantastic talk as well from Navia, Anna James. From Waterfall to Agile, onwards to AI-powered testing. So this talk I've been looking forward to as well. So take it away. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another afternoon session. So today we will be talking about the journey of the test automation through various phases. So before we start, let me introduce myself. As we know, my name is Navia Anna James. I'm working as a senior SDET in Next, and I have 12 years of hands-on experience in test automation. Mainly worked in banking and fintech. I'm currently landed in a retail domain. And my specialization in test automation framework design from scratch and integrating that into a CI/CD pipeline. So that's all about me. So I think today I have divided this into three main areas. In the first two sessions, we will briefly check about the history of test automation and some challenges an automation engineer faces on a day-to-day basis. And then we will go and check in detail about AI-powered test automation. So let's get started about the history of automation. So automation testing has taken its shape in late 70s or maybe in early 80s. And at that time, people were using kind of bulky automation tools. Then those got replaced by kind of record and playback tools. At least some of you heard about quality tests that got renamed as QTP, the current UFT. Then RFT, like the Rational Functional Tester by IBM. So those were the tools at that time. And again in 90s, these record and playback tools were very prevalent, but we were the software industry, or maybe the most of the companies are following kind of waterfall methodology. Testing itself is challenging in waterfall because of the linear and the rigid structure of the model, and automation is kind of a distant dream at that time. And in 2000s, we have seen like a lot more open source and the proprietary tools come in picture. Selenium was one of them. Jason Huggins founded Selenium in 2004, I think. On top of Selenium, we've got Selenium WebDriver and so many other tools like Sikuli, AutoIT, APM for the mobile testing. So many tools came into picture. And test automation gained more importance because of the agile way of development. Testing team and the DevOps team started working more closely. And this test automation script started integrating into the CI/CD pipeline for the quality checks and all. And finally, from 2020, or maybe a little before, people started talking about AI. The hype of AI was everywhere, and software testing is not an exception. So we started talking about AI, autonomous testing, machine learning, and so on. So if you see, we have come a long way from start using bulky automation or record and playback tools to have a diverse array of access of open source and the proprietary tools at the moment. And undoubtedly, test automation is one of the widely adopted practices among the testing professionals at the moment. Implementation of the test automation is not an easy task. There are various challenges automation engineer faces day to day, especially when we do testing or test automation within an agile way of agile way of development. So let's have a look on many challenges. These are I haven't covered every challenges. If I ask you, you have you can come up with n number of other challenges, but on a high level. First one is changing requirements. We cannot complain for that because agile means responding to changes rather than following a fixed plan. But too many frequent changes in the requirements will cause a high level impact on an automation test scripts. The next one is insufficient time to ensure quality. If you ask to any of the automation engineer or any tester, this will be one of the main challenges they will highlight. So I think in agile way of development, one thing we fail to do is a balance between the quality and the delivery speed. And because of that, this automation sometimes moves as a backlog task or move to another sprint and all. And another one is maintenance overhead. If you develop more automation scripts, the maintenance will be huge in order to make that scripts, relevant to the current state of your application. Another one is prediction of the user behavior. So what we do, when you get a user story in a sprint, you see all the acceptance criteria. Of course, you do some out-of-the-box thinking as well and create a set of test cases, and immediately you start automating them. Sometimes the automation tester fail to foresee the production flows. And when the script, the application goes to production, of course, there can be some other things that we miss to test. And similar to this, test data management, result analysis, defect prediction, these are all various kind of challenges an automation engineer faces on a day-to-day basis along with the coding that they do. So now let's go and see how AI can be used as a solution to mitigate most of these challenges. I'm not saying AI is a silver bullet that is going to solve all these issues, but let's see how AI can be used as a solution over here. So in the remaining part of this session, I have divided into different phases. First, we will go on see various use cases that AI in test automation. Then we will go and look at a few of AI-powered testing tools, and a case study on one of the testing tools that I use personally, that is GitHub Copilot. Then we will see, like, if time allows, we will see like an adoption of, what is the expectation and reality in AI adoption in industry, especially in testing, test automation, and some strategies for AI implementation. So before we start, nowadays, like most of us are researching or, exploring a lot about AI. And we come across a set of buzzwords, right? Kind of generative AI, LLMs, prompt engineering and all. Most of you are aware of, what are they, but I mean, I think we will just cover them so that everyone will be on the same page. First is generative AI. So it's a model that is designed to generate new content like text or video, audio, or maybe even code. It's based on some pattern of data that it is being trained on. So it is generating something. That's the terminology, generative AI or Gen AI. And LLMs, what are LLMs? LLMs are the large language models. LLM is a type of Gen AI. So Gen AI is of many different types. LLM is one of the type of the Gen AI, which is trained on vast amount of text data, just the text data. So it will receive the text as an input, and in natural language, it will create some response back. We can't expect anything else from an LLM. It won't create an audio or video or anything for you. And what is prompting? Prompting is the communication between you and to an LLM system. That means the specific cues or an input to guide an AI system in generating a novel output. So these are just a few info. Let's come back to our topic. Gen AI use cases in testing. So when we talk about AI in testing, it's specifically Gen AI because we are talking about, generating something to assist us in software testing. There may be a lot more use cases of Gen AI, but I tried to divide them into 3 different categories. The first one is test generation and management. So within that, the first one is test case creation. So you can create test cases. How we are creating test cases may be based on a user story, a requirement that is available on a Jira board, or maybe in an Azure board, depending upon whatever you're using. So there are AI systems which can receive this user story as a requirement, and it can create a test case back to you. It can be either in like a manual test case form, or if you are using automation, you can create a BDD test case or a TDD test case based on that. And again, like when we discussed about the challenge, we failed to foresee the production flows, right, when we write the test cases. So if there is an AI system to assist us, AI can predict the production flows, and it can help a kind of a number of test cases from that, and we can use that for as a build verification suite or something like that. So because we are getting kind of a solid cases from AI. And again, if your application already in production, then AI can monitor that, and it can come up with a pretty much a good number of test cases. Another one is coding assistance. Of course, I think this is one of the most widely used, AI assistants that the developers and automation testers use at the moment. So AI can help you with, you can treat AI as your pair programmer, or it can help you in your code reviews, or even it can create a code without any context. And of course, you don't need to, we won't accept that code. Say like you create a BDD file for your application. You're supplying that to an AI system and asking it, create something out of it, create a step definition from this one. So AI system, without knowing anything about your application, going to create a step definition for you. And you are not going to accept that because you don't believe this AI system because it's a black box system. But you will get a skeleton and you can build on top of that your test cases. And if you give a context to an AI, say like you have a test case already written for one feature, you're going to implement that for another feature. This AI system has a context now. It will refer that test case and it can, kind of mimic and create another kind of test case for you. If I can cite an example from my work, as I told in my intro, I'm working in Next. So our international website is there for 70 plus countries. So when a new feature rolled out, like I tested for one site, and write a code for that. And if I supply that to my, for example, if I'm using Copilot as my AI assistant, Copilot can refer this code and it can create another number of test cases or functions for my rest of the countries. It's a pretty much good use case of AI in testing. And again, test data creation generation, AI can create realistic test data, and it can help you with the data masking your sensitive information. If you want to encrypt something, AI is there to help you. And finally, if you want to pre-populate your DB for some testing with some mock data, and you don't need to write a set of SQL for that, like AI can help you there as well. Another set of use cases of AI is in the test execution and maintenance. So first one is dynamic test execution. How you are usually executing your regression suite, like if you have a massive regression suite, people usually tend to execute it in out of office hours, like they may use some cron jobs to schedule that in the DevOps pipeline, and it will execute maybe every night at 8 p.m. or 12 p.m. like that. But if you have an AI system, it can identify the load of your system when the resources are available, and based on that, it can schedule a dynamic kind of test execution. And another feature is self-healing test and visual testing, both are related. Say like it is applicable, especially in terms of UI applications. So most of our developer friends tend to change the CUI elements and locators. It's not their fault, maybe based on the requirement changes and all. And as a QE engineer, we sometimes fail to, our test fails when something changes on the UI. And manually, we need to go to the UI and find whatever changes, like ID or X path of that element. And we come back to our code and we update it. It's a manual process within an automated ecosystem. So self-healing tests are like this test when something failed on the UI. This AI system with this self-healing property can automatically identify that, and it will, in the next run, it will tell us, okay, this ID, this element is gonna change now. You can fix it now. We can either accept that fix, or you can reject, or you can ask the AI system to modify that fix. Similarly, visual testing is also similar. If something is changing on your web page, and the AI system can understand that change and make some relevant modification in your existing script. And finally, the final thing is like result analysis and defect prediction. Result is very important in testing, especially in test automation, right? The stakeholders, the management, everyone is looking for the test result that is generated from an automated, after the automation. So AI systems are there to help with the report analysis, and again with the bug management. You can track bugs, everything using an AI system. So these use cases can be implemented with the help of some tools, and there are a lot of tools available on the market at the moment. We can have a look on a few of the AI-powered tools at the moment. First ones are like ChatGPT, Llama 3, Gemini Cloud. These are not specifically for test automation, but we can ask automation questions, or we can use them for automation, purpose as well. Example, like for ChatGPT, if I supply my user story to ChatGPT without knowing any context, it can generate some test cases. And of course, it's a black box system, and we want to believe that test case. As a user, like what we will do, we will go and check that test case and verify them and select the test case. And another set of tools are, rather than calling them tools, I would like to call them as like AI augmented platforms. And they have like many properties. Along with that, they included AI as well. Catalan and Catalan Studio and Aptly tools are like main two ones in that. They are famous for their self-healing properties, visual testing, and smart weights and all. And Headspin is like an AI-enabled platform where you can do like the execution, and there are like a lot of DevOps support as well. And another one is Eggplant. Eggplant is from Keysight, which is one of the sponsors for today's conference. So Eggplant also comes up with a kind of a digital automation intelligence that enables deliver faster with model-based algorithms and AI-powered test automation, and it provides like a big amount of coverage of the test cases. And tools like Test Trigger, TestGraph, Testing, these are all such kind of platform which come up with this AI in that. And if you categorize tools again, another set of categories like no code or low code solution. So if you're a manual tester and if you want to automate something, but you are like new to a programming language or something like that, you can go with this no code, low code solutions. So Mabel is one of the pioneers in that, and Functionize testing. Functionize is a cloud automation tool. So you don't need to install or anything. Like it's based on a cloud machines and all. And Testigma and Axel Q are other two options where you can use for no code and low code solution. And for the reporting and for the bug tracking, we have two new tools. One is Report Portal is an amazing platform. It's a dashboard. And you can track, it will create like very dynamic graphs and all. And another feature I found with Report Portal is like it can create textual summaries of your, of your execution results. You can create like in few lines, you can summarize that in our natural language, and it will be very easy to understand that. And this tool, it is only for the reporting purpose, but still it can be integrated with any other automation tool or framework, and we can start using that. And Bagasura, this is like a bug tracking tool, bug tracking and bug management, and it's an AI-enabled platform as well. Another one is Postman. I think most of the people are using Postman, and this tool is one of my favorite. So Postman is like Postman's AI support. So this will help us when we do the Postman, the API testing, and again, like, when we use API testing, sometimes we struggle. We, in the sense, like developers as well as testers, struggle with the massive payloads and all. So in the Postman, there's an option to analyze the payload. And again, it will create beautiful documentation for your API. So it provides a lot of support. And finally, the coding support tools, coding assistants. So Codium AI is one of the main tools. And Amazon Whisperer is another one. And finally, GitHub Copilot. So these tools can be added as a plugin to your IDE, like whatever IDE you or your team is using. For example, if you're using Visual Studio or like Visual Studio Code or maybe like JetBrains, any of the IDEs, these can be available as a tool. Of course, there is a license. Everything is like most of them are licensed tools, but some file versions are also available. And out of these tools, in the coding tools, the GitHub Copilot is the one that can support multiple programming languages, and a vast array of programming languages. So we don't have time to go every tool in detail, but I think it will be good, like if we look at least one of them in detail. So let's go and have some understanding about the GitHub Copilot, because this is one of the massively adopted tool, all over the developers and testers. So I love to call it as an AI pair programmer, because when we work in an agile team, when our efficiency will work when we do some pair programming, right? But always, like when we're working in remote and all, like the options for the pair programming is very less. So we can consider Copilot as one of your pair programmer. There are many things it can do, and I have just categorized the four main use cases. First one is code completion. So in the code completion, it will help you to suggest your code, maybe lines of code or maybe a full function or a full class based on some context. So what is this context? The context is something, when you open a file, maybe you are working on a file application, you wanted to automate something, you open a file. So context is getting created from that file, not only from the area where your cursor is blinking at the moment. We always think, okay, the context is getting created from the line of code we are at the moment. But the context is creating from your entire file as well as the tabs near to your current file. So when you work with your GitHub Copilot, make sure like you shouldn't, open all the unnecessary tabs nearby. The tool may get, a diverse array of context, and it may get confused with that. So this context is sent to the GitHub Copilot, and behind the scene, this GitHub Copilot is using OpenAI's LLMs, and these things are getting processed and you are getting a suggestion back. You can either accept the suggestion, coding suggestion, or you can reject, or you can ask for a modification. And the next thing is, answering coding questions. So it's kind of a chat option available in the tool. In the sense, like this tool doesn't have, like, it has a UI, but that is like in a web. But if you want to use that along with your code, you need to add that as a plugin in your IDE like Visual Studio Code or a VS Code. And there is a chat option integrated with that. You can ask your coding question, okay, what is happening next? Can you suggest something with my current coding, or what are the various algorithms available to implement one function? Any questions you can ask. But you should be clear with your questions. If you're clear with your questions, you will get a clear response. If you ask some vague questions, you will get a vague response back. And next one is fix issues. If there are any compilation errors, or when you're running the code, or when you're executing the code, or typing the something, if there are any issues, like Copilot can suggest something. And finally, documentation. Documentation is something people don't like to do, isn't it? Especially in Agile, like we tend to do less documentation and comments. But GitHub Copilot is here to help you. It can create beautiful comments for you. And again, like another feature which I didn't mention over here, you are new to a project, you wanted to understand some other people's code. You can select a piece of code. You can ask Copilot to explain that. There are a set of functions available in Copilot, and one function is like explain, and it will go and explain the code. So when you work on Copilot, you need to think, you need to be careful about three things. I don't know, you can see first one. First one is describe the goal. Say like you are explicitly going to create a context for the Copilot. So that the Copilot don't need to, scan through your code or the existing nearby tabs and create a context. You manually like put a comment, in whatever programming language you're using, put a comment over there and write, I want to implement something. I want to, write a function to encrypt this password using, maybe you mentioned which algorithm, maybe using RSA algorithm, like that. Make your context a bit more clear and then be flexible. Of course, this is an AI system, and we know the response vary time to time. You will get one algorithm, one response now, and the next time it will create another function. So it's your duty to, go through the code and take whatever you want. And last one is provide examples. The more data you give to an AI system, it's not only Copilot, to any AI system, the more accurate result you will be getting back. And okay, I think
About 5 minutes, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think I will skip this one and we'll go to the next one, some strategies for AI adoption, implementation. So if you're working in like a new project, it'll be easy to adopt something very new, isn't it? But if you are working in like an existing one, you may have your regression suite running very nicely. Why you need something extra to create a test case for me? So you may not use AI to create a test case or execute a test case and so many other areas. And we don't know, like sometimes where to start. In my company also, we don't know like where to start because we have everything running perfect. So that is a big question. So I say like assess your readiness. First of all, go through your areas where you are lacking, where you need some support, where it is taking more time. There you find some support and you assess your area first. Then start small. Do some POCs and identify like which tool fit for you or which area you need that support. Do some pilot project and then do some data preparation. So as I told before, feed the AI system with more relevant, accurate data, and it will give you back a good response back. And finally, select a right tool. There are a lot of tools available, and a lot of tools available for the same purpose. For test case generation itself, you will get like more number of tools. And again, for the similar purposes, you will get a lot of tools. So it will be sometimes overwhelming to choose one tool from a set of tools. So you should be, you should make the decision which tool you want to be used for your purpose. And finally, so we have discussed like, from history of testing to the usage of AI in testing. So my question is, are you ready to adopt AI in your work? So studies show that like, adoption of this AI among the QEs are slower compared to our developer counterparts or maybe some others in the technology. And again, QEs are, I won't tell this if I'm not in a QE space like this, but people are saying like QE is a bit concerned that AI may take our jobs, isn't it? So we are a bit worried in that. So I don't know like how to answer that, but I can cite an example here. So when computers are first invented, so there was like a fear all over the world that it is going to take away all the jobs, right? But in reality, we know what happened. So as a tester, you are the SME here. You are the subject matter expert over here. So your technical skills, your business knowledge, and your critical thinking and the testing mindset, none of these things are not going to be replaced by any of the AI system. So you treat AI as your assistant who would like to have a personal assistant, right? So treat it as an assistant. Give all your repetitive tasks, your maintenance tasks, the task you don't like to do to the AI system. and ask for help, ask for suggestions. And, I think as an automation testers, what we need to embrace is that harmony between the AI system or the AI tools and this automation testing. And again, AI is your co-pilot. So it's not an autopilot. So you always treat that in that way. And above all, like, let's all just go with the flow.
We're going to do a short presentation, then
Yeah.
we can come back in here and ask, and we can ask you some questions if that's okay.
Yeah, that should be fine. And
Awesome.
these are my email IDs. If you have
Yeah.
any questions, also you can email me. And yeah, thank you.
That was
all.
very interesting.